Hey guys, it is episode 110 of 4PlayerAnimecast. We are finally into our new year 2019. It is the 12th of January. Things are actually getting pretty cold over. What the fuck? I just looked outside and there's actually snow. I'm actually not kidding. I didn't know there was snow before, but there's now snow. Okay, so things are getting colder now.
Wow, Spire, welcome to 4 months ago.
literally time delay here, but hey, it was actually warm for us over in East Coast US like a month or so. Like it was actually like getting warmer, and then it suddenly like became super cold like a couple of days into this. But either way, we are here and we are going to start off our winter season with a straight bang, just going through all the usual stuff. Again, I know people are going to suggest to us, watch, these deeper series, watch these, whatever, stuff like that. But we do usually tend to save these for like, later episodes. So please do forgive us if this time the series we're covering are a little bit later. But in either case, Dark, how was your year, or how was the new year for you?
Productive.
Productive. That's an interesting word to put it. That's actually not a word that many people use during that time.
I finished quite a bit in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Finally finished Fate UBW after finishing Fate Zero. So that's done now. I still do have the OVA.
Okay.
And then just recently finished Mob Season 1.
Yeah, okay.
So now I got Season 2 this season to look forward to.
That's pretty good. Okay, so Toast, how was the new year for you?
It's alright.
Pretty okay? It was okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
So, no, it's just some big celebrations. It's straight up into regular year for you then?
What is there to celebrate about?
I mean...
Heaven's Feel 2.
Oh, Heaven's Feel 2 leaks.
There's no release date yet. It's either going to be...
Yeah, but it's this year, isn't it?
It came out a few days ago, so it's either going to be February or March, or I gotta wait 8 months. One of those two.
Okay. So pretty quiet couple of weeks for you then, near.
What do you mean couple of weeks? It's been like 12 days.
Yeah, two-ish
Shit,
weeks.
dude, that's not even a couple yet.
Wow, it's like 2 days.
Yeah, actually, it does feel a bit shorter because we had to do our stuff on Sunday, right? I guess
Yeah.
it's not exactly like an entire 2 weeks. But yeah. Near.
Technicality.
Near, how's your not exactly 2 weeks?
Well, I was really broken out that it wasn't 2 weeks yet. So I cried a little. But
Cry every time, yes.
other than that, not much.
Not much, pretty quiet.
I finished a couple series from like last year, I think. I finished up Ballroom E Yokuso.
Ah, okay.
It's pretty good. I may pick up the manga later. Other stuff. Caught up with JoJo a little more. The usual. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So again, pretty productive for you. As for me, I haven't. I've mainly been no, like I finished up some of the series that we were talking about before, or actually no, a lot of the series that I like watch or not watch, but did for like award stuff. I finished. So I don't really mind, but it's like I did want to completely finish up Golden Kamuy at least if possible. So I'm gonna head back into that down the road once I'm done with a couple of real life stuff. But it was also pretty quiet for me on this front. Usually, there's some special foods we go out and eat and stuff like that. But other than that, there's not too much. Then straight off into the new year. Again, I was surprised by the snow today because it was actually completely empty this morning too. And then there's like a snowfall outside, so that'll be good. Other than that, just sitting here, listening to some news, stuff like that, pretty quiet. Anyways, with that, I guess we should probably start heading off into our reviews as per usual. So to start off, I guess I'll start off then, just to just to kick off the new year. So my series is a pretty light one again, pretty middle of the road slice of life kind of series. It is called Tokyo wa Hisa, Tokidoki Atama no Ue. So translated literally, transliteration, it would be my roommate is on my knees or on my lap, and sometimes on top of my head. And the English title for this is My Roommate is Cat. So basic summary: there's a dude, his parents pass away, and he suddenly, just after the funeral, he suddenly finds a cat, and he starts keeping it, and he starts keeping it, and living with the cat while he works as a writer, essentially. And while he's doing that, doing his job and trying to learn new things about taking care of the cat, he sort of goes through realizations. It's like, the cat is doing this because he wants, or they want to be friendly or whatever, and he becomes more friendly with the cat. And while that's also happening, the story itself also starts telling, it starts narrating from the perspective of the cat as well. And the cat is like, it's not like a silent like narration. It's like the cat actually has like an inner voice, an inner female voice. The cat like does more or less pretty human things, like, oh, this human looks like he needs food, let's bring over something for him, or something like that, you know what I mean? And then like that translates into sort of more or less slightly irregular like kitten actions or cat actions. So that's sort of how it went. I think it'll be, I've only seen one episode, or rather only one episode has come out, but I think it'll be pretty that's misleading title, but that's I think it'll be pretty episodic. It'll go out, like the developments themselves won't be like huge, right? I don't think anybody's like, wow, like the cat and the owner reach some sort of like super deep conclusion about their lives, or like how to live, or how
involved.
Romantic involved. It's super
Damn it,
weird.
it's gonna be just like Usagi Drop. Fuck.
Fuck yeah, but with a cat. It's like Zootopia, but with Usagi Drop too. It's like they mix together.
I can't believe it. Baited again.
Baited. But it's actually kind of weird because like the cat kind of does, like, because in a lot of stories with pets or something like that, right, and where the pet is more the focus, sometime along the line the pet has to do something weird, right? Like has to do something out of the norm, else the focus will go away from the pet, right? For obvious reasons. And so the series also has the pet doing things that are usually out of the norm, right? Like there'll be a scene where the cat tries to assist him in something, and you'll be like, well, that's a little bit unusual. Not unheard of, right? But unusual. But then the narration happens, and that's where it kind of goes weird. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if you're just like, oh, this pet kind of like, like pets are like super dumb, so it's like they'll kind of be able to do this. But then when you're like, oh, this cat is kind of acting like human, and it's being narrated by like a human voice, and so that they use this like more human logic in the story to lead the cat to do something. And then the cat like cuddles next to like the human. I'm just like, that's weird. That's a little bit weird. I'm like okay with the actions, but I'm not okay with like this whole like human logic behind the thing. Yeah,
It seems like it's a half step away from like being fantastical, but it's not quite there.
Yeah, exactly. There's a part where actually it's like where they show so the cat like has like a more intimate moment with the owner, right? and it puts its paw on the face of the owner, like while the owner's sleeping, and there's this like glow. And I'm just like, wait, is this Kana? Like, why is there a glow? But the glow was just to emphasize, like, this sort of like intimate moment. But for a moment there,
It's
I was
actually healing magic, and you had
yeah,
no
healing
idea.
magic. But I was like, this is a little bit fucked up. But in terms of like what actually happens in the story, I think it's pretty standard. I kind of wish that I don't know. It's kind of weird because obviously they'll be using that narration voice to derive something a little bit more complex about the interactions, right? Or to make the interactions a little bit more complex. But again, when you realize there's the human logic that's driving the cat in the story, it becomes a little bit awkward. So that's more or less all I had to say about that.
How much lasagna is there?
Yeah, how much does he hate Mondays? But yeah, again, this is a full series, by the way. It's not a short. But
Who voices the?
fuck, that's a good
Is
question.
there anyone like super well known?
What's
Are you
the
talking about
cat's name?
the cat, right?
Yeah.
None of these characters have pictures on models, so I can't tell.
None of these people speak English, so I can't empathize.
Sorry.
Let's see. Okay, so I think the male is Ono Kensho, pretty standard voice actor for male roles, and this is Yamazaki Haruka. So Yamazaki Haruka is actually what is it? Well, she did other supporting roles before, but I believe she also did she's done oh yeah, so yeah, this is it. So Million Live, Idolmaster Million Live, she is like the main sort of like how it's like in each sort of idol series there's this like main like redhead girl essentially, right? Or like orange hair girl or whatever it is, right? That's like Genki. She is the voice actor for that girl in the Million Life branch of Idolmaster. So that's sort of how it works. And she also has some other roles. She does the mermaid in Master Musume. She does some roles in Battle Treasure Sight.
Tomoyo Nino battle.
Yeah, she Tomoyo and Nino Battle too. Yes. So there's a couple of roles that she does, but she is pretty well known. But pretty interesting how they added that voice. Although I'm pretty sure it's probably part of the original too, but it's still weird. It's still weird. But
I
yeah,
guess my one last question would be
yeah.
just to clarify: is it a narrated voice from like the third person or first person from that?
It's
Like, is it a narrator narrating what the cat is doing?
No,
or is
it's a
it from
first
the cat?
person. It's first
Okay.
person.
I mean,
It's-
I think that's fine. That was strangely enough in what was it, 2 seasons ago? I think Tara-kun, where they had one
it definitely
episode dedicated to the cat.
Yeah, I think it definitely happens, but I think if it's like, to me, it's like if it keeps becoming a focus, it's a little bit like, I don't know. I don't think it's like terrible, but like I feel like, well, cats like pets can do out of the norm things anyways, so we don't necessarily need a human voice being like, oh well, I clearly did this because it was in my rational interest to do so. You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. Right.
Yeah, but when like the cat corrects his spelling and grammar
Yes,
overnight, you're gonna need to know why.
when the cat tells him how to move his troops in the next world. But yeah, but that's more or less what I had for my roommate is. I keep thinking the title is my neighbor, whatever is a cat, but that's clearly not the case. I don't know why I keep thinking that. I keep getting mixed up with how all this like recent rash of adaptations that all have like my neighbor is blank, or my neighbor is this, or my the innkeeper or the people related in the inn is this, or something like that, right? It's like I keep getting confused with that stuff. Forgive me. But anyways, that was my series. Next, we move on to Dark.
Okay. I gotta pull up the correct tab.
you want me
Okay,
to,
so my
yeah.
series was, and if I get the pronunciation right, which I most likely won't, is Watashi ni Tenshi ga Maiorita.
Yeah, it's like that part is like it's a little bit weird. It's actually yeah, it's not like that commonly used. It's like watashi ni tenshi ga maiorita. So it's like a weird verb that they use. But or shortened, it's like wataten, right?
Yeah.
And it has been animated by it is a Yuri series and has been animated by Doga.
Well, kind of. I don't know yet. I don't know how to feel about describing that just yet. Uh, so here's the thing, right?
Mhm.
So the basic premise is think what's it called? Think almost Uzume, but instead of being like a maid, it's just the main not the one of the characters' older sister.
It's just a
It's just a pervert.
It's it's just a criminal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically the dynamics are very similar in that sense. The main character is what I assume is just a neat. It seems to be that way.
Yeah.
Either that or yeah, no, she has to be a neat. Though I don't know how old the main character is supposed to be. Whether she's supposed to just be like not going to high school or or out of high school
A
or
college
done with
student.
college.
Shy around strangers and spends most of her time indoors.
All right, well, go.
Yeah, it's like a little bit weird. It's like because like watching this and it's knowing that there are like more articles about like hikikomori, like people like Asian like kids like kind of like staying like not doing shit a lot these days. It's like kind of weird. I don't know,
It's the
but
world's
yeah, it's the world. Yeah, keep going.
But yeah, so the basic premise is one day, like her sister brings home a friend, and then she more or less falls in love at first sight.
Hmm.
And doesn't understand why. I guess she hasn't come to terms with that she's a filthy lolicon yet. Uh, and then they sort of like go from there
Right.
in a very similar way of Usamade, where she makes like a lot of cosplay clothes or just clothes in general.
Hmm.
And also makes like sweets. So in it's
Yeah,
very
pretty
similar
standard.
to Usamade in that way.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, also it's a pretty standard like premise because that sort of opens up for like various different sort of like standard approaches, right? Like, oh, here's some clothing that you might try, and that's like an episode, like that's half an episode in and of itself, right? Usually, and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Hannah, yes, like second or the other main.
Mhm.
She's less reluctant. Like it's more comedy based and more of a flow, I guess now than Usamade was. Like you kind of get thrown right into it, right into the
right.
dynamic. It doesn't really like slow down things because there's not like the focus isn't going to be, I guess, as almost parent child, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, and it's the comedy itself, I would say, is also less degenerate. It's more basic, or not even basic. It's just less
It's much
more
tame.
lighthearted.
Yeah. And like
Uh,
they're not going like full Yuri or anything. It's more just like it's like
yeah,
more at
it's
the
also
friendship level.
that's
It's
another
more at
thing
the
too. That's
friendship
why I'm
level.
reluctant to call it a Yuri series because they're also not going full Yuri. At least
It's
not
Yuri. It's
now.
just very very light Yuri. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, yeah. It's just not.
It's not like mean kissing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it ain't no Ilya.
Full kuro up in that ass.
Yeah.
What I do like is if I may interrupt for a second, is that and you're probably going to you can definitely talk a little bit more about the audio visuals, but in terms of like how the storyboard pacing is, like it's been a while since I've especially for a slice of life seen a series and been like, wow, I like they're like I noticed that the way the scenes cut between each other and like it like zooms in or like zooms out to certain like depictions, right?
You mean, yeah, I was telling Nier about that. I think what you mean too is that like there's the scene where Hana first shows up and it
Yeah, the
zooms
French toast.
into the main
Oh
character's
yeah,
eye
that too. Yeah.
and then out to like back to that reverse shot again.
Yeah.
And then it like reverses itself for what would have been like, I guess, the after commercial break.
Right, exactly.
I thought that was done really well. I think, yeah, and I think a lot of like the visual gags to like zoom out and like using the background as sort
Yeah.
of like a secondary space.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of like like for instance like I think also it doesn't like it has its like brisk pace and it doesn't like it's not hyper but it doesn't like stop because it's a slice of life. So it's like for instance it would be like the part where she was eating the French toast, right? Usually like people would take half a second but then boom it's like zoom out to the picture, right? But it's like boom boom like the pun is like right there and same with the initial interactions between Miyako, the main protagonist, and Hana, right? Where it's like, can I pat her? It's not like usually it would be like, can I pat her? And then there would be another second for the zoom in, the cut to the hand, and then the hand closing in on her forehead, and then another second for the hand slap, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
can I pat her? Boom, no, like rejected, stuff like that. So it's like a very snappy pacing that I noticed.
Yeah, I think the pacing and the audio visuals are really nice for it. I'm hoping this maintains more than just episode 1.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, not to jinx it, I would be surprised if it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that this is the one series Dogakobo's doing this season, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
I think it'll hopefully I think it is. So hopefully it won't just crumble after
Well,
3 episodes, right?
yeah, I mean that was the problem I had with Uzumade is that I feel like Uzumade fell apart because it didn't. I don't know. Uzumade introduced a lot of shit, right? Like it introduced the more like drama based thing of like the mother daughter sort of dynamic they could have done.
Right.
But then there is of course the sort of like the degenerate lolly based comedy. But then there is also the fact that the maid was like she was shredded out of her mind because she was from the military.
Right.
And there was a lot of things that they just didn't keep up with. Like they didn't keep up with the military stuff as much. It got like I feel like watered down. But I feel like this one didn't really start with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't throw a lot of things at you. It was just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, here's
a very simple premise. Yeah.
here's a simple premise. Here's like sort of easy opportunities for slapstick comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of like character interaction based comedy.
Yeah.
Dialogue based comedy. Not I'd say the other thing that I prefer, and that's I guess a difference between this and Uzumade, is that Misha and Uzumade doesn't really have the the nature at all, or any sort of idea with that. Like, there isn't much.
Misha.
Yeah, like Misha may as well. Misha may as well have been like a full adult character half the time.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
90% of the time.
Exactly. Like just a 30-year-old lolly or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this does better because like the scene in particular where Hana's that shirt with that really weird mustached character on,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Yeah, this is my favorite shirt. Isn't he so cute?" And then the main character's like thinking in her head like, "That is a horribly ugly shirt."
Right. Exactly.
And sort of like the comedy situation that comes up from that, I feel like you didn't really see as much in Uzumaki. So I don't know. I think it's doing a good job. It's going to be on a good path to stay more consistent.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a consistent watch for me, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be able to hold it together.
Yeah.
feel a lot better.
Can I ask one more question though? And this might be a little bit of a lower hanging fruit. So it's like, with in terms of like Uzame, I think the Lolia side, it went pretty like it went pretty safe. Like I think it went a little bit under the radar sometimes, but for the most part, it was like received pretty well, right? But there are some murmurings with regards to this in terms of like, oh, she, this girl likes a lolly. Like, how could she do that? Stuff like that. And what do you think the difference in reaction? Where do you think the difference in reaction comes from? Do you think, like, I have a theory, but I want to hear yours.
Well, I think sort of the closeness in age and the lack of any sort of potential, like since there's no drama, like I said, the mother-daughter relationship sort of idea, since that's out the window.
Right.
And since it's also played like almost 50% episode, like from her point of view, it's played almost like or pretty much identical to the beginning of an actual romance. But I don't like I feel like it's not really baiting, but it's kind of tricky because I feel like her dialogue is similar to a romance, but I don't think that's where it's gonna go. Now I haven't read it's a 4 first of all, so
I think it's gonna be like the usual,
we're not getting like a full romance. It's based on
yeah,
a 4
it's gonna be a
so
slice of life heavy. It's gonna be like they grow closer together, but it's definitely not gonna be like an actual relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why they have the introduction, like the whole clothing thing, and the main character. What I wanted to touch on, the main character is like social anxiety. I thought they do a really good job with that. I'll get into that a little bit more in a second, but I just did want to finish with sort of them setting up with that and like the clothing part. Like I feel like those two things are probably going to take precedence, like those ideas, and more like friendship than anything. I don't think we're going to get a full romance. I doubt we are.
Yeah,
I doubt anyone really has the
I don't
balls
think
to do that, let alone
and there's no like incentive
let
to do
alone
that.
it's based on a 4 like
Yeah, there's no incentive to do that either, I think.
yeah,
I mean, like they can literally just run a standard slice of life with girls doing girl stuff, like every other series has been doing, with light tinges with Yuri, and nobody would give a fuck. So it's not like
yeah. I feel like if anything, the most like Yuri we're gonna get is between this picture, the top 2 characters, maybe,
right.
which haven't been introduced yet. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get very far in that direction.
Right.
Do you think that the sort of like it's not really super subtle, but some of the lines they dropped in the first episode for like the social anxiety part were pretty good. I thought that set it up pretty well for more development on that.
Right.
Like what's her name? I forget the main character's sister. Hinata drops like a line saying like, "Oh, because they were talking, and one of them says like, "Oh, why didn't you bring like this? Seems like pretty out of the ordinary for you to bring people, or like have a sleepover." And she just goes, "Well, yeah, because I know that you don't like having people in the house that aren't family." And so, like, I feel like those sorts of things might pop up every now and then, just as like introspection from the main character, because it seemed like he was thinking about it. Like there was already some introspection of like, shit. Like this is not only a problem for me; it's causing a problem for her too. So.
Right. It's just like
so
her having to like balance everything out, like her having the anxiety, but the fact that everybody else has to live their normal lives too.
Yeah, and it's like I guess it might be like a slow realization, not even a slow realization, but like a more active approach to like trying to combat that or like come to terms with it.
Right. Exactly.
So I thought that did it well. So yeah, I think it's set up for more of like tackling those rather than trying to be a full Yuri. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. There's no indication of that. It's not Like the romance is played so basic in the beginning and lighthearted that I don't feel like it's gonna.
It's gonna devolve into something degenerate. You mean?
Yeah. Like I that's it. That's what I was saying. Like it seems like the words that are being said seem pretty degenerate when you put them together, but you're like, well, the reason why they're here isn't for that.
Right. Exactly.
So
So
I think overall it's going to be a pretty safe watch. Like
yeah,
for a good
I
comedy.
agree with the earlier part where you were bringing up sort of the the difference in reactions. By the way, the difference in the initial drama, because with Usame they could sort of cover their asses with the initial drama, bringing the whole like, oh, she just wants to be a mother kind of thing, right? But this one doesn't necessarily have any excuses, but it doesn't need to because it's just going to run the standard template formula. Like, it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, she's just gonna. It's probably just gonna run the formula of like, oh man, she's cute. I want to make clothes.
Right, exactly. So
Like that's the end of that story,
right, yeah, it's kind of like whatever.
more or
But,
less. I don't think it's gonna go far. Like
Yeah.
I feel if anything, it's going to be more of just like I said, the sort of like shoujo ai, but then more friendship focused and more using Hannah's character to allow the MC to like come to terms with social anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's gonna be a blooming relationship like people are afraid of.
Yeah.
So don't worry, this isn't Usagi Drop 5.
Usagi dropped 6. Do you have any last words for the series?
I think that's pretty good then.
Okay.
Oh wait, actually no, I do. Hannah's voice actress is completely new. This is her first role apparently.
Hina, right?
Hina.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I saw that, and
Is
her
it
chops are pretty.
Hina?
Oh, sorry, Hana or Hana. Excuse me,
Cool.
Hana. Yes. But yeah,
Being
definitely.
violent.
Yeah. But yeah, she definitely has solid chops right now. We'll see how she, what other roles she develops up into the future. But yeah, definitely a couple of new voices at least in that series. With that, again, thank you, Dark, for helping review Wata 10. Or I think again the full title is Watashi Tenshi ga Maiorita, right? Or an angel fell down to me. So with that, we'll move on now to host. What do you have for us today? Host is dead.
I watched some Black Rock shooter thing.
What?
Oh
Something
man, I
involving-
was hoping you wouldn't bring that one out because Nier wasn't there for that one.
God damn it.
I watched Kemurikusa. I don't know what this is. All I know is it's from the dude who made Komodo Friends.
Yes. Kemurikusa.
But why do
It's like a
people
dark-
like kimono?
So this
Yeah.
is again a very short synopsis. This is a sci-fi action story. There are girls who fight with weird entities named Mushi or bugs and survive in a world of red fog. And again, the director is the same one behind Kimono Friends,
Tatsuki, the man.
the myth, the legend.
This is apparently based off a web animation that dude made back in 2010. Yeah, 2010. So this is original IP.
Okay.
It's like how Black Rock Shooter was just this weird thing, but then they were like, let's give it an anime. So they did.
Is it as angsty as Black Rock Shooter was?
I don't
Or
know. I watched
You watched
one
one?
episode. I did not
There's
watch
only
the
one
web
episode out.
novel. Yeah, like what kind of world do you live in where there's 2 episodes out of something?
Yeah.
No. I'm asking.
Yeah,
Did
Well,
you watch
technically there are 2 episodes out of the. There were only 2 episodes of the original like net animation, but I didn't watch that. That's
Oh.
old.
Okay.
Oh, I honestly I thought that this was even more recent, but I didn't
Okay.
know this was an
So-
actual older.
To put this into context, this is his thing. I watched first episode. I don't know anything about what's happening. It's
just confusing as fuck.
it's
or...
probably post-apocalyptic, like apparently Kimono Friends is, because
Okay.
there's these bunch of red girls who have varying names of Rin in their name. There's Rin, there's Ritsu, there's some other Rins. I don't remember their names
Wait, right? Not Rin.
because one of them died.
No,
Apparently.
you know, there's silent N in Ritsu.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. The silent
And then
N.
there's Rina, and I don't know the others, but they're all variations of Rins. And then
Okay.
and then one of them died, and I'm like, oh, no. But it turns out they all have weird powers. One of
Yeah.
these Rins shoots green beams when she eats magic.
Spinach.
Apparently, they're called
Like Popeyes?
they're the actual Kemurikusa, which are these green energy leaves from some tree named Midori. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, but yeah, there's the cat girl Rin who apparently can talk through the tree. Maybe
Maybe.
I don't know.
No, I mean I don't blame you for being confused.
And then there's like these lolly Rins, but one of them died, and then everyone was sad. But it turns out there's like 3 or 4 more of them, and if they drink water, you can make more of them. I guess that's their power. They're clones, maybe. But yeah, that's
So they're all one. They're just a hive mind.
I guess they're all they're like Rinya or I don't know. I'm just calling them the little girls. They're all hive mindish, kinda okay.
Wait, what?
Were you awake when you watched this?
You see the picture I have up, the one with the little one, the little girl at the top. There's a bunch of her. I guess her power is that she's clones of some others, because they mentioned like after the one of them died, they're like, oh no, it's okay. We'll drink some water so we can make another one. I'm like, what? All right.
Okay.
The whole thing is they live on this place called Island 1, and they fight these red bugs.
No, I mean, okay,
Which are reminiscent. I don't know. They look like giant viruses. They're supposed to survive on this island, and then they're looking for water to feed the tree. I guess it's their life source, which gives them the green leaves. So I guess they kind of need it. Yeah.
So what I'm wondering, so the first episode is just them doing exposition, and because it's
What
the
exposition?
premise-
I didn't learn a single thing other than they think they're the humans, but
well,
then
they're trying to do exposition.
they found water in these ruins from a ship, I guess, and then they
Yeah,
found a human, and they're like, and the dude's green. He's also named Wakaba, and he's like, I'm a human. Who are you guys? And they're like, no, shut up. We're
Well,
humans. You're a red bug, and we're gonna kill you.
So
And then they tried to kill because they fight the red bugs, so with the green leaf powers, like in Mario, except they don't turn into Tanukis. But then it turns out that the green leaf has no effect on him.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm explaining the
I think he had a
plot
fever
the
of like
first
100
episode.
A fever
fucking
dream.
10.
But can I ask something? Let me
This is the plot of the episode. They find this.
can I? No, okay, so there's like all this stuff going on. I'm not saying the exposition succeeded or like was succeeding in being coherent. What I'm saying is that they tried to do the exposition, and because the premise was so whack, you weren't very clear on like what they were exactly trying to explain.
Are you sure this isn't just like a Sasami-san episode 1 scenario?
Sorry, Yeah,
I
that
don't know.
Or
that
like,
could definitely be
or
a
like
thing.
things are happening, but they're intentionally just not explaining anything.
I don't think they're that smart. I don't think that
I mean-
director is that smart. Is he?
Well, I mean,
All I know
Tatsuki's
is
a good director. The problem is, I mean, I'm not
Is
really,
he that next level?
I'm not really saying like, are they succeeding at it, but like, do you think they're
Oh,
intentionally
there was. Is
being
that what they're doing?
cryptic?
Yeah.
wasn't Komodo Friends intentionally cryptic too, or there's this one chick,
Well,
and
that's what
then
I was
mean, it
gonna
wasn't-
say, right? Because
It wasn't cryptic. It would
Kimono
just,
Friends wasn't cryptic. It just had like the
it just
background
withheld,
stuff.
it withheld like the whole truth from you until
mean,
the end.
maybe, I guess, the
It
whole
seems
thing
like,
about
it
that
seems
dude
like they
being
might be
human.
doubling down, like on that idea,
Mm.
and just going to not explain anything, and over time you probably just know what's happening.
I
Yeah.
mean, the Rin girls, they said they're human, and that anyone else that's not human is a red bug. But then the dude was all like,
They're
no,
probably not human.
that,
Just
yeah, yeah.
if they apply by drinking water, I'm just gonna say they
I don't think, no, they don't drink the water. They use the water to feed the tree, which makes the food for them.
It's what the fuck
They
is that?
eat green power leaves from the tree.
All right.
So-
Well, I'm human and I don't eat green power leaves, so I don't think.
So this is all like
I
there's
hate green, dude.
They might be plants, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so if they're red plants, then the bugs are actually aphids. I get it. Okay, it's starting to make more sense now.
I like how you're trying to puzzle it out as you're telling us what's going on. But I sort of get like what you're trying to describe. But would you recommend? So do you like the initial tone at least?
I don't know. I have no. I can't judge this from whatever this weird thing is.
No, I'm not saying you're judging the story, but do you like the tone of like what's going on? Like sort of it like I guess it would be more of like a creepy like darker tone. I guess they're setting up. That's like,
I don't know what I feel about this show.
Think about it this way.
All-
Assume that by the end you know exactly what's going.
Yeah.
Piece it together from what they introduce in the show.
Well,
Would you say that you would enjoy that?
I don't know. I don't like the real human guy. He's kind of boring.
Oh my.
He's pretty much.
Does he like become an actual like character?
I don't know. Maybe apparently the dude has the ability to sense out the red bugs, because it's
Oh,
through
dude,
the
that's
fog.
probably
it's
important.
like Bird Box.
So
Please never compare anything to Bird Box ever again.
okay, so I guess fine. If you
know
want,
that time where the bugs put the
Put
blindfold.
blindfolds on and they
Take
decided
off
to
the
get into a boat in a rushing river. That's a smart idea.
so if we're
Hey,
gonna
you
compare,
never saw the
Hate that
monster.
movie.
What if the monster was a bug?
Oh my god! All right, keep going.
yeah. So
but-
apparently there are more Rins, I think, in this show, because the director dude he showed us teasers of other characters, and I don't know who they are.
Well, I mean, technically, there's already 3 unrevealed characters in this art right here, right?
Yeah, but they're revealed in the freaking teasers on his Twitter. So
That's why you gotta follow him on Twitter.
I don't know.
Easy likes, dude.
what I will. So
I-
do you have any?
I don't
do you have
know. I really don't know what this series is about and where it's going to delve into. All I know is it reminds me of like Code Lyoko, I guess, maybe. Code
What?
Lyoko or some weird stuff.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because they fight bugs in this place, and then there's that one weirdo with no special powers. I don't remember. I think that was the pink chick, right?
I think she was like not real. Wasn't she like a AI or something, or like a ghost.
Maybe. How do you know these Rin girls, these red girls, are not real either? Because apparently they call themselves human, but they're not.
That is true, I guess.
This
Do you
brings
have?
this brings the question of who the heck this weird guy is. Because the Rin girls, they went into an abandoned ruins of a ship to find like a scarce source of water, and then they transport it through like the one with the fox ears, magical transporting power through like roots or something to, into a tub, and then they suck up this human guy. And he doesn't know anything. He's like, "What the heck is this?" I don't know if he has amnesia or maybe he got isekai'd. The
I guess,
plot will have to tell me this because I can't stand it.
yeah. I mean, again, it's a little bit jumbled right now. But would you recommend this to? Would you recommend this to other people, or would you kind of keep a hold on it until?
I'm going to say I don't know. My entire opinion on this from one episode is I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
Glad
that's
you
reasonable.
provided that.
It's different. But I guess keep a tab on it. But
Final question.
Yeah.
How's the audio visual?
Oh, it's leagues better than Kimono Friends visually.
Very low bar, but yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
it's
if
full.
people like Kimono Friends,
Hey man,
and
Kimono
this
Friends,
one's at least watchable by my eyeball.
Kimono Friends
That might be pretty
a
good.
lot with its visuals that most other series wouldn't be able to do. So
I mean, for those who don't know, this is full CG. So, I mean, it's not the worst CG I've seen. I wouldn't call it the worst looking show of this season. That's reserved for something else. But I mean, it's fine. I was too. I'll be frank. I was way too confused trying to decipher what this show was actually about to pay attention to the music. But it was okay, I guess. I didn't hate it.
Okay, so at least it's passable. at least that's good.
So hey, I mean, an improvement over Kimono Friends while having like weird mystery stuff could be pretty solid.
It could be pretty.
honestly, Toast has said so little that at this point I have to watch it.
You want to watch just to
infinite
get
potential.
that's how he sucks you in. He's just like, well, it could be certainly, maybe something, definitely not anything. And you're like,
Okay.
I don't know, man.
Could
Yeah,
even be Kimono Friends too.
At least with this series, I get where your confusion
Well,
is coming
unfortunately,
from.
Kimono Friends 2 is not good.
Oh Jesus!
Now that aren't red and green supposed to be contrasting colors?
I mean, it's not that they're supposed to be; they very much are.
Okay, so you got the red girls and the red bugs, and then you got the green leaves, with the red girls feed off of, and the green dude, because he's wearing green.
Are the leaves? I don't
Yeah,
think.
wait. I have a question really quick. Is the man green, or is he like wearing?
He's wearing green, and I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
he
so
has
he's not a
hair.
green man.
No.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said
This entire
green
time,
man.
I thought he was
Like a green giant. Green
Yeah, I
giant.
thought
like a
he was
brand.
like literally green, and he's like, I'm human.
Yeah,
Here.
I was like, well, he's not human either.
Well, let me post
like
this
he-
picture of this green dude, because I'm pretty sure his hair is a shade of green.
What the fuck?
Pretty sure he says.
Is he?
That he is not green, and his hair is not green.
Maybe
Is
in
he
this
selling
lighting,
frozen
it's green.
Brown eyes
Is he
That's
selling fruits and vegetables? That's
and
not.
a green and white shirt.
that's literally just a man.
You notice how the dude has like vines and leaf motifs on his green shirt? I see where they're going.
Okay, I guess maybe
I
we'll
don't
have to do a
know,
little bit more.
Dude,
But anyways, I do want to wrap up pretty quickly
So
here.
I'm pretty sure they're aphids.
Okay, I guess with that we'll wrap up. They are the aphids, but thank you, Toast, for helping review Kemurikusa. And again, if you're interested in seeing the next project that the Kimono Friends director has started,
I'm gonna say watch it and tell me what it's about, because I don't get it.
Thank you, Toast.
I can do that, Toast.
please review to me what I have reviewed to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. And last but not least, we are moving over to Nier, who will be telling us more about Dororo.
Whoa. Yeah, I watched the first episode of Dororo.
Mm-hmm.
Not a spoiler warning. The main character isn't named Dororo. It's the sidekick.
Yeah. So, some of you may have heard of Dororo, because it's a Osamu Tezuka manga from, you know, a little while back, back 1967, about a lad who gets born without any arms or legs or eyeballs or skin
Mm-hmm.
or certain organs. And the reason for that is that his dad went to um, this temple for like the 48 demon lords, and then, uh, hey man, if you let me rule the country, I'll give you anything. And then they guess they took all of his son's bits, and then the guy was like, "Oh, this baby's not gonna survive. Just throw him in a ditch or something."
Wasn't it a
Um,
river?
Yeah, it's a
They
river,
they did
but
they did the Moses thing.
yeah, the old lady puts him in a boat in a river, and then this blind dude, doctor, finds him, patches him up, gives him some robot arms with swords and stuff in them, and then
Doesn't he have a cannon in his knee, or is that
yeah,
just
he's
from
got a
the game?
cannon.
Yeah.
I think he's got a cannon in his leg.
So he's like Guts, except instead of cannon arm,
yeah.
he's got cannon kneecap.
Cannon in his leg. But
He's a walking grindhouse film.
yeah,
Oh, that's good.
the initial premise is basically that Hyakimaru, which is his name, has to go around and he has to hunt down all 48 demon lords, to get all of his bits back. And then when he does, he can be free from the curse and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a question.
yeah,
You said free from a curse.
yes,
Like, is that why he doesn't have the bits? Like, if he succeeds, does he get all of his stuff back, or
Yeah.
will he just
Yeah,
have like
soon-
baby skin and baby eyes?
no. As soon as he kills one of the like demon lord, he gets whatever bit like that demon lord has.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
It immediately comes back to him. Like in the first episode of this adaptation, he kills one of them and he immediately gets the skin on his face back. So there's that. But yeah, this is a very old series. It's had a lot of adaptations.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
Osamu Tezuka series. Like,
Yeah, it's an Osamu Tezuka series. It had an anime in the 60s. It's had a video game on the PS2.
Mhm.
Pretty kind of bad, but a lot of people like it because it's very unique.
I
I
mean,
think it's had
isn't
quite a
it
few spin-off mangas as well.
kind of double dipping though?
What?
Isn't it just feudal Astro Boy if you think of it,
I mean,
or
You could-
feudal Mega Man?
you can say that about like a lot of Tezuka series.
yeah.
Isn't it just blank Astro Boy? Like, you know, it-
Is it plagiarism if he invented the idea himself?
no,
It's
no.
possible. It is possible to plagiarize yourself, but I
There is
don't think that matters.
self-plagiarism, but I
Dude.
think in this case, that's not how it works.
I don't think it matters in a creative property.
Yeah. But yeah, the initial setup is very simple. And again, the series has had a lot of adaptations. This 2019 adaptation is a much darker, more serious, I guess grounded take on it.
I mean, the thing is, it's like with Dororo, it's like if you read the manga, it's how do I say it? It's not like the series itself is super light. It's just quote unquote limited. The tone of it is quote unquote capped by
Yeah,
its art
just-
style, right?
Well,
It's
the
more
art style, the time period it was
right,
in.
exactly.
You know, it's
So
only.
this is a more like realization. This is a more like
It's
quote, unquote,
like Devilman Crybaby. Come or Banana Fish come to the new year. This generation of anime. They're bringing
Sure.
back the classics in a new coat of paint.
Yeah, in a more realistic, gritty, desaturated coat of paint.
right, exactly.
But yeah,
Well, isn't it desaturated because he's got no eyes. He's got no rods and cones in his eyes because they're fake. Because he this what in I'm gonna
It's
compare.
gonna be like that photography show all over again, dude.
Okay. I'll
Last,
say
like,
this.
3.
Dororo had a PS2 game called Blood Will Tell. It's pretty cool. In the first mission of that, Hyakimaru could only see in black and white. And then later on, I think he beats like the tutorial boss, he got the colors back in his eyes. So is that the cause of this desaturation, or is there actual
Uh,
color?
I don't believe so because, from what it seems like to me, the perspective of the story is actually going to be from Dororo, which I should probably explain. So Dororo, the titular character, is actually, in the original series, he's not really the main character. He's kind of like the sidekick. He's a little kid. He's a thief, and he gets in trouble, and then Hyakimaru, just stumbles upon him, helps him out a little bit, kind of just not really intentionally, but just happenstance sort of thing. And then Dororo kind of just decides to follow him. And in a way, I guess it's kind of like the OG Guts and Puck kind of duo, where you got the serious like killing stuff main character, and then you got more cartoony, somewhat comedic relief sidekick character. And this adaptation seems to be a little bit more in the perspective of Dororo, like as a main character, and then him just kind of following around Hyakimaru,
Right.
which is kind of a more interesting take in my opinion, because I mean Dororo had so many adaptations.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, as for like the whole Hyakimaru's eyes thing,
Mhm.
what they seem to be doing is kind of like this weird, when they're showing his perspective, like it's all black except for like demons and stuff.
Mhm.
They'll be glowing like a red silhouette, which is kind of neat.
It's like what Iroduku should have done, right? It's what Iroduku should have done.
Yeah, because
Yeah, sure.
the magic man that gave Hyakimaru his robot parts, he gave him demon vision.
Yeah.
So until he
And-
gets his real eyes back, he's gonna see in black and white.
Yeah, like right before, like even when Doctor like saves him, it actually shows that he has that vision too. So obviously, it's hinting that.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it'll do a plot exposition like in the second episode or something, just explaining how how the Doctor raised him and gave him all his limbs and taught him the vision and stuff. But as for right now, it kind of just shows like the initial premise of like he has to kill these big demons and gets his parts back, right? But yeah, Dororo's a pretty simple series. I mean, it's only the original manga is only like what 20 chapters, something short like that.
Yeah.
Um,
How many episodes is this?
I believe this is a 12 episode series.
So it's not gonna be like monster of the week kind of thing, or it could
Uh,
be.
I mean, it could be. They might just do like midway through. They'll might do like some sort of time skip or something. Because I think some of the demon lords are kind of inconsequential. But I don't know. Maybe this is a 24 episode series. Like Mal doesn't say, so I'm just kind of assuming it's a 12. But
Has Mappa done a 12 episode in a while?
I think so, right?
I don't know, because I just know that like Inuyashiki was. Oh yeah, Inuyashiki was 12.
I mean,
Zombieland
Zombieland was
did
12.
too.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I think
What's
It's just
it'll it's pretty
my
standard.
question is, since they did what's it called last year, are they gonna try and make this like a 24 for this year?
um
Well, they
I
have
mean,
in a
it's,
three
row.
this year, right? So they have. I mean, they could have more, but essentially they're probably going to keep it to these three that are
well,
announced,
the
right?
thing is they're doing Kakegurui season 2 this season, right?
Right.
It's true.
It's
I mean,
tricky.
that's yeah.
It's tricky to say. Really, this might be 24 again. Like the original manga is only like 19, 20, 21 chapters, something. It's really not long at all.
It's
They
one
could
of
they could
those.
just do 11+1, right? I mean, they could probably just do 11+1 then.
Yeah, it could be. Um, but yeah, like the story, honestly, it's really simple. Um, some standard character development stuff. I mean, it's a 1960s manga. I'm not too sure if they're really gonna expand on stuff like that. Um,
Mhm.
but the story is fairly basic and known quantity.
Right, exactly.
Kind of wanted to talk about the visuals though,
Yeah.
which it's an action series, so they're very very important. Um, I do think they're very very good. Um, I don't know if I really want to say they're like you know super impressive because some of the close-ups of like just basic face shots, they're kind of like you know
Right.
some funny map and stuff, but like in motion in action scenes, it's quite fluid.
Mhm.
It does have, like I said, it's quite desaturated, and because of that, it kind of gives me like that, you know, that old school early 2000s gritty samurai series kind of thing.
Right,
Where,
exactly.
like everything was desaturated back then because like no animators knew how like HD TVs even worked. So um,
Do you think that this should have been in 480p?
no, believe it or not, I actually think this should have been in 100p because it's a 1960s show, right? But yeah, I think the show looks quite good. I saw. I'm not sure if it's CG blending or not, really, with because the first monster he fights is like this big thing of like just garbage. Like it's this sludge monster that comes out of the river.
Right, like some Spirit Away shit.
Yeah, and I feel like it's 2D animated, but like some of it looks a little bit CG blended, and I'm not really sure. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. I really can't tell. I'd be pretty impressed if it's 2D, but
I wouldn't be surprised because they did use it for. I mean, they used a lot of CG for Garo and CG blending.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either because CG is just becoming so prevalent. But yeah, it looks good in motion. The contrast between Dororo and Hyakimaru is pretty interesting because Dororo is almost animated in like a different art style.
Mhm.
He's very rounded. His hands are much smaller. He's got like the chubby fingers.
Right, exactly.
He's much more cartoony, right? Whereas Hyakimaru, he's very sharp. He's got not necessarily thinner lines, but he just looks more sharp, a little bit edgier, if you will.
You're right,
Um,
right.
So it's an interesting contrast, and I think
Again, like a slightly more uh more modern realization of what the series wanted to be.
yeah. It's I think it's a strong first episode, and I think due to the fact that the story is a known quantity, right?
It's safe. It's safe.
Yeah, it's a very safe series to pick up. If you want an action series, if you want some samurai stuff,
Yeah.
maybe like if you've been one of those people who have been like hankering for a Sword of the Stranger
Mhm.
2 or something, you don't mind it being like much more supernatural,
Right.
this is definitely something for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very safe series. Definitely, I think it's one of the bigger series this season. just due to the fact that it's one of the only action series this season. But yeah, if that's your thing, definitely pick it up.
How do you feel about the opening and ending? Because I
I
heard it's pretty fire.
I really like the OP. I think it's the song's really good. I think the visuals are really strong. It's got this cute little moment where it like incorporates the song into the visuals, and it's really nice. The ED is much more basic, but it's got some nice like sketch animation stuff.
Mhm.
It's got the songs by Amazurashi, which is a band I really like, so maybe I'm a little biased. But yeah,
Right.
I think overall, just the package here is very solid.
Right,
Um,
right.
and the fact that again the story is very known quantity, it's a very thing to pick up. I think this series is going to be quite.
I just have one last thing. I know I asked you this earlier before the podcast, but honestly, I don't remember how you answered it. I know it's only episode 1, but is the was there anything stand out about like full OST yet?
Um, so outside of the OP and ED, the OST is fairly standard feudal Japan stuff, right?
Okay.
You've got your flutes, you've got your uh drums and stuff. But I mean, it's not egregious, right? It's certainly
Yeah. I was just curious
it's not
because
something that's really stood out to me like, oh my god, this is crazy good, right? Like like when the flute kicks in Sword of the Stranger and oh, it's so good. There's nothing like that.
okay.
But, it's serviceable.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, I was just asking because I thought what's it called soundtrack was really, really Goro. So
Well,
Goro has always had an extremely good soundtrack. So I think
Hmm.
the guy they hire for that is I think he like exclusively does Goro stuff.
right, yeah.
Also, one last thing from me. Check out Blood Will Tell. It's pretty. It's the PS2 game based off of Dororo.
The
I
PS
like it.
game is very, 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 very unique. So it's certainly an experience.
It's a character action game where Kyakimaru has machine gun arms and a cannon in his leg. And later on, when he gets his real parts, he's lugging around a cannon because it's apparently huge. Cool. Check it out.
Okay. Thank you, Nier, for helping us review Dororo. Definitely one of the bigger names this season, for sure. If not maybe the biggest name this season. So,
Well, One Punch Man 2 is coming out, so
yeah, I can't forget
Yeah.
about it.
yeah,
If
One
only-
Punch Man 2 is this season, right? The first episode, anyway.
I think so.
it is year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mob Psycho
Well-
2 as well.
Pretty sure.
So,
Yeah, I mean, if only Osamu Tezuka had written an actual series like One Punch Man. it'd
yeah,
be,
what the hell, man?
Anyways,
Step it
Only
out.
that Dororo was done by JC Staff.
yeah,
Mm,
please. Nier is like I could hear Nier thinking like, "This ain't it, Chief." Like
That's-
right, like across,
no bueno.
right across. All right, we're gonna move on right to the news then. Yeah, I'm gonna have a little bit more news than usual because everybody's, all the companies are restructuring, blah blah, for like the new year, making these fucking announcements and so on. So we're gonna be heading right into those. First off, the organizers of Comic Market, or Comiket, Japan's largest event for selling self-published doujinshi works, revealed that they are considering having hours of free admission if the event changes to charging admission fees. The organizers announced in November that they are considering an interest fee for their summer 2019 Comic in 96 and winter 2019 Comic in 97 events due to the temporary change in venue. So again, this venue change comes due to the Olympics, right? Or because the 2020 Summer Olympics and like all the scheduling stuff. So that's sort of how it is. But yeah, it's Comic-Con ordinarily has no entry fee for general attendees, although attendees can purchase a catalog as a guide to the event. So because apparently like 500,000 plus people in total came, unique people came across during Con-Con. Obviously, they need to kind of see how they fit people into a venue that's not necessarily super large, but it will be interesting to see what they do for this. They'll probably obviously make it free for the years afterwards, but it's pretty interesting how they plan this out. Next, a couple of company pieces of news. First one is pretty interesting. 13 Japanese companies plan to establish a joint enterprise called VRM Consortium on February 2019. The goal of the enterprise is to develop the international virtual reality business with a focus on 3D avatars. The enterprise seeks to advocate the file format VRM based off GLTF 2.0 as a standard file format for 3D human models for virtual reality. The format is platform independent, free to use, and open source. Companies hope that the standard will streamline the creation process for games, virtual YouTubers, and other projects that utilize 3D avatars. The enterprise is also seeking to expand the initiative outside of Japan. So essentially, they're trying to get a quick heads-on on like sort of controlling how this distribution works, right? Part of people behind this is like Pixiv, Durango, what else? Unity, so on and so forth. So again, it'll be pretty interesting to see how sort of distribution proprietary battle for these sorts of models happen in the industry as this becomes more mainstream.
I find it interesting how many pies Pixiv is dipping its fingers into.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's branching out, especially since now that again like a lot of like anime stuff, a lot of especially with like virtual YouTuber stuff is becoming more mainstream, as well as I think there's also a Western shift to well, there's a shift outside of just Japanese platforms, right? Like OpenReg and Nico Nico still exist, but a lot of people are moving to stuff like YouTube, so on and so forth, right? So it's like there's also a need for Pixiv to turn to global markets, or there is a motivation for them to turn to global markets. I think that's how it works, right? So
Do you mean having a video service? You can get like 144p unless you pay money. Might not.
and you can't watch
be
previous like
popular for much
things,
longer?
like streams or anything. Like yeah, there's like a random time shift model, and you're like, I don't know how this works. And the TLDR of the time shift model is you can't watch it essentially.
Yeah, it's like, have like 37 different accounts connected to your Nico Nico account. All right, well, now you can watch this video in 144p for the next 30 seconds.
Yeah. Again, Session in chat was reminded us of. I think Pixiv and I think Nico Nico people sent the Bowsette meme guy, the guy that created the initial art of Bowsette, like a silver a glass trophy or something like that. that was pretty wild.
Wow. Thanks for
anyways.
making those like 8 days.
Hell,
One pick. Thanks.
memes do pay off.
Wow.
But anyways, next piece of news. Square Enix president and CEO Yosuke Matsuda revealed in a New Year's message on Tuesday the company plans to pursue quote-unquote aggressive expansion of overseas markets, including China and India. Blah, blah, blah.
That's not overseas. That's inland.
Everything's overseas for Japan.
Yeah. But anyways, blah, blah, blah. Adoption of VR and AR technologies, something about increased stuff. Use of blockchain technology. Oh my god, please.
Dude, not only am I gonna be able to see Cloud Strife in real life on my phone, but he's gonna offer me a Bitcoin when I find him.
Exactly. He's gonna be part of the IPO for Square Enix.
Sephiroth, where's my Bitcoin?
Hey, Sephiroth, what do you want? I want Bitcoin, Cloud.
But next generation of consoles, cloud streaming services. I think they're really looking heavily towards trying to control like proprietary like streaming service or something like that, probably. Overseas stuff, again, China, India, stuff like that. Trying to obviously hit the major markets with people in them, the two largest nations in the world, right? And yeah, that's pretty much more or less what's in the message. Obviously, pretty standard like takes on things. Like, the first part is just memes on, trending technologies for the past like 1 or 2 years. The second one is more just like, yeah, we want to get more people, and the easiest way is literally the two nations that have the most people in them.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the only part that really stands out to me is the blockchain thing. That's kind of weird, but
yeah. I mean, again, I think it's part of just
It's
like the technology trending meme kind of stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's like the heads up, up in the channel. We're like, wow, what is this Bitcoin thing that's like getting all this news all the time? The next thing you know, it's talks about
the
it,
next thing you
right?
know, you're collecting crystals.
Yeah. No, it's like it's now from whenever where you start like downloading Square Enix games, they're gonna come with they're gonna come with a Bitcoin miner that you don't like realize is in the game. They're
You
gonna
can
mine it for
actually
Square Enix.
mine Bitcoin in Final Fantasy 14.
No, but you have to mine
Oh.
it for Square Enix, and then in exchange you get like items and stuff.
Yeah, you get like a costume. You get like
Oh my
8 potions.
god, Can you fucking that's so like that's actually.
I mean, it's
That's
either gonna be that or we're gonna be paying in gil now. Like we're
Oh
actually
my
gonna have to pay
God.
for gil.
Can kill me. Anyways, next piece of company news. The Korea Economic Daily newspaper reported on Thursday that Kim Jong-ju, the founder of South Korean game developer Nexon, will sell his controlling stake to Nexon's holding company NXC Corp. According to the report, which cites unnamed industry sources, a lot of people say it's likely like a Chinese company. The founder and related parties are selling a 98.64% stake valued at 10 trillion won, or 8.9 billion US dollars. Blah, 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 founded in South Korea in 1994, but it's headquartered in Tokyo, Japan. So on and so forth. So it will be very interesting to see. Again, I don't think it's like a Japanese company. I think it's going to be a Chinese company that's going to
It's
try to
Tencent.
edge a little bit more in the mobile game marketplace.
Yeah,
It's
who
probably
else?
going to be Tencent.
Fucking $8 billion. Like,
yeah, more than
no
likely.
Japanese company that we know of.
Yeah, just casually just fork out $9 billion for this.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about this all the time. Like, what
Yeah.
is it, NetEase or whatever? Fucking
Yeah, exactly.
just handed Bungie $100 million as investment. They're like, yeah, here you
there's
go.
so much cash money flowing over there, but it'll be interesting to see what direction it takes in terms of like really trying to affect the piece of the pie that the Chinese mobile games have in the overall Southeastern Asian, Japan, China, Korea mobile gaming market. So we'll see. And final piece of company news is that IG Port. So this has been going on for a while, or going on pretty recently. IG Port, the parent company of several anime studios, including Production IG and Wit Studio, gave more details on the reorganization that will transfer most production operations of its anime studio Zebek to Sunrise this year. So this was like a news that we covered, I believe, 1 or 2 months ago. So Zebek is going over to Sunrise. In a December 27th press release, IG Port emphasized that the production of this year's Sokyu no Fafnir the Beyond anime will remain within IG Port's group companies even after the transfer of most Zebek operations to Sunrise. So, I mean, the obvious, first of all, not only is this, so first of all, it's like they have a small part of Zebek called Zebek Spy, and Zebek Spy is the one that's going to finish off handle Sokyu no Fafnir the Beyond. And the rest of Zebek is probably just going to get shunted off to Sunrise, and whatever is left of Zebek Spy after finishing off Sokyu no Fafnir, Sunrise and IG Port probably have like Delta, right? But the general idea is and after finishing off Sokyu no Fafnir for Production IG. Oh no, it says it here. Okay, so after Sokyu no Fafnir is finished for Production IG by Zebek, the Zebek people will fully be integrated into IG, and they'll be renamed IG Spy. So that's sort of how it works. So I mean, this is more or less just like IG Port being like, yeah, you guys can just have like the anime people, and we'll just keep like all the licenses, right? Because the licenses are obviously the ones making the money, as we've seen in the past couple of years, right? In the financial reports, right?
Of course.
So they'll keep all the licensing. They'll make some small money off that, while anime studios are kind of like creaking in, being pretty rusty. And Sunrise is sucking up Zebek, and we'll see actually what they'll do with that. It'll be pretty interesting because Zebek did help, a lot of they worked pretty heavily with production IG on a lot of mecha series, a lot of like more heavily animated series. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how that turns out. What do you guys think?
I think it's a kind of a weird way to dissolve stuff, right? Because they announced this so long ago. You'd think they wouldn't be holding on to Zebek for so long just to finish this one series, right?
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, there's something weird probably going on with the production of Soki no Factor, but other than that, everything seems pretty standard. But yeah, that's like there's like a weird bottleneck going on there somewhere.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm not really sure. Not really sure what Sunrise is gonna do with, because they're getting like just Zebek stat, right?
Yeah, they're getting essentially just like boosted animation production staff.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure what Sunrise is gonna do with that.
Yeah, they might even think about just doing like a sister company and starting to pump out more series on the regular, right, with Sunrise. But who knows?
I don't know. It's weird. Sunrise doesn't pump out that much stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They're maybe shifting into a more regular pace, like they're investing into a more regular pace.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's
we'll see how it goes. Next, some manga, some numbers, whatever. We're gonna go right into the awards here. The 46th Angoulême International Comics Festival has announced its nominees for Best Comic, which includes 7 manga. One, The Blue Giant by Shinji Ishizuka. Well, I'm not gonna number them, but I'm just gonna go through them. Shinya Shokudo, or The Midnight Diner, a Quatin Diminuit, by Yaro Abe. So, At the Mountains of Madness, the original H.P. Lovecraft work, manga adaptation by Go Tanabe. Plinives by Mari Yamazaki and Miki Tori. Saltiness by Minoru Furuya. And Sunny Sunny Ann by Miki Yamamoto. And Wonderland by Yugo Ishikawa. And last year's event nominated Shinya Shokudo, again in this list, in the same category. So, again, the reason why I hope maybe some of these series win. The reason why I'm telling these to you guys is so you guys can check them out too. So, usually these are more like unique series that you might enjoy checking out beyond the usual mainstream stuff. Okay. And the next piece of manga-related news is Shueisha confirmed in the 76th volume of Hideaki Sorachi's Gintama manga on Friday. The manga's 77th volume will be the final volume. The final volume will ship this spring.
Oh.
So, this is the end, guys.
Is it going to be a 300 chapter volume?
Yeah.
Sugisa must be devastated. He only has 10 more years of job security.
He only nearly got his career ended like 50 times. But yeah, finally, it's probably ending. I mean, hopefully the publisher isn't just fucking with us, but we'll see. Next piece of news.
Yeah, it's gonna be his son, Bintama, after, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. God damn it. Anyways, next piece of news. The Japanese government's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, or METI, announced its revisions to the Unfair Competition Prevention Act on December 6th that included expanded definitions of what constitutes quote-unquote unfair competition. The new definition includes the offering and or distribution of tools or programs that can modify save data, as well as modifying game consoles. The expanded definitions are part of the addition of data as protected content in the act, in addition to previous content such as music, video programs, and software, etc., etc., etc. So obviously they're making save data editing and console modeling illegal. The measures provided in the revisions include civil measures such as damage claims, as well as criminal penalties, including 5 to 10 years in prison, as well as fines ranging up from 5 million to 20 million yen. So this is, I think, slightly related to stuff like what Nintendo has been going through, for instance, right? In the recent days and months, right?
What are you talking about? They're gonna get all that Soldier Boy money.
Yeah. I smell some pretty heavy, lobbying stuff here, but it is kind of silly on face if you think about it. Like outside of the lobbying and what's been happening with Nintendo and so on for.
Like how technically a game itself breaks the law itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
funny how that works.
Yeah, it is. It is
Can't
very.
edit save data. By the way, the games are literally built on their save data.
Yeah, I don't know why they made the modding itself, literally the modding itself, illegal. That's kind of like.
Well, I mean, they made it vague enough so that they could charge any whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Like if enough money's behind it, they're just gonna do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate how this law came out. Obviously, it's not really going to work outside Japan or anything like that, but it's very kind of ugly on the face in terms of how the PR works out. But we'll see how it pans out in real life. Two more small pieces of news before we go on to quick people news and wrap up for the day. One pretty funny thing: digital manga's adult imprint Project H reopened its online store last week and has posted the Kodomo no Jikan ebooks for sale again.
Oh.
The label's manager told A&M that the website is based on links and uses the same payment process as before, using everything else from the old site. So Project H announced last month that its website had been banned from its e-commerce platform Shopify for violating the platform's acceptable use policy. The digital manga did announce that it had removed Kodomo no Jikan ebooks from its e-manga website, which is also hosted by Shopify as a quote-unquote precaution. The acceptable use policy does not explicitly ban pornography, although it does have a rule against content that presents children quote-unquote in a sexual manner. Yeah, I mean,
What are you talking about?
Guys, look, I've read Kodomo no Jikan, right? Look, don't push it. Don't push the envelope like that. That's when people are talking about pushing the limits with digital media and stuff. This is not what they mean. Let's stop.
Could change the world.
Yeah, it could change the world. Who knows? But anyways, next, this is pretty interesting. Kadokawa announced on Tuesday that it will formally launch a new novel imprint named Dragon Novels on February 5th. The new imprint will publish web and print novels focusing on a quote-unquote new classical fantasy theme, and will also publish novels based on games. The imprint will launch with 5 novels. In particular, the imprint will have stories based on or set in the worlds of various tabletop role-playing games, including Group SNE's Sword World RPG, Toichiro Kawashima's Meikyu Kingdom, and Sandy Peterson and Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu. It will allow authors to publish their own stories set in Sword World RPG. It will also publish novels based on other popular role-playing games in the future. So, I mean, a lot of this is it hits many birds with one stone, right? One, it allows Kadokawa, which is obviously not a small company by any means, to work with these other RPGs or names that might be a bit smaller, might be, tabletop RPGs are super popular. It's not like Fortnite or anything like that, so it might help them get additional merchandise or additional sort of collaboration stuff going on, right? And that'll be nice for both parties involved. And the second thing, I think this one is a little bit more sinister or more cynical for me, is that Kadokawa is clearly leaping on the whole isekai train, right? But obviously, they're sometimes too lazy, or they're all these garbage things on Shosetsu aren't working out, so we need to make our own garbage, right? So they're using this, they're setting this the quote-unquote new classical fantasy theme or whatever, which is essentially just kind of isekai. And they're using these RPG premises and backgrounds to set up easy ways for people under this, Dragon Novels imprint under their leash to just pump out isekai stuff. That's what I'm getting from this. Do you guys?
What?
Like the Dragon Novels thing, like the like another reason why they're pushing for this sort of like fantasy, like new, novel, classical fantasy novel stuff, and they're working with tabletop RPG, companies and like games, right? Is they're also trying to find like an easier way to just keep pumping out stuff that's similar to isekai. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're not gonna make isekai though, right?
They're not going to make isekai, but they're going to come damn this close as possible, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's what
of
I'm thinking.
course, of course. I mean, the way I see it is like, like you said before, they want to tap into the isekai like fad.
Without saying it, without saying it out loud.
Wait, they don't. Karakawa doesn't want to come up and be like, we're gonna make a whole bunch of isekai novels.
Yeah.
Because
But you
nobody's
guys have never seen these guys before.
yeah, nobody's gonna be like, wow, Karakawa, really breaking new, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But when they're like, tabletop RPGs,
Yeah, it creates value too, like outside
yeah,
of just...
it's quote unquote unique, but it's close enough that like it can
Tap in,
still like
still.
it can get that really big straw and suck up the isekai fans.
Right, exactly.
I think it's pretty fucking
Wait, it's really fucking what?
smart. I think it's genius, really.
Yeah, because it brings a lot of like, or it really kind of calls to the types of people who are both. It calls to the types of people who would really be into this. Like it kind of sounds tautological. It sounds kind of obvious, but it is like a mating call to the people who are like sort of looking for this sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll be looking out for this for sure. It'll be pretty interesting to see how it goes. Two more news on people news before we go, and one of them's pretty like serious. One is talent management agency Mausu Production announced on Monday that voice actress Yuko Ono has returned to work from her recent hiatus. Mausu promotion President Takako Hasegawa explained that Ono's medical treatment has been going well, so after consulting with her doctor, she decided to return to work. Ono went for a hiatus to focus on medical treatment for a health issue in November. Please congratulate her for her speedy recovery, and again, hope for the best in her future endeavors. Next piece of news. This one, I heard about this, a little bit back, but very, very troubling. Following a performance at NGT48, NGT48 is like a spin-off of AKB48, obviously. Theater on Thursday, NGT48 idol group member Mahoya Yamaguchi, aged 23, offered an apology for quote-unquote causing trouble with recent incidents. The apology comes after Wednesday's revelation that police arrested two men for allegedly assaulting Yamaguchi in December. So essentially, I'll make this very brief. What happened was that, in social media, a couple days ago, Yamaguchi came out and talked about, an incident that had happened in early December, or approximately December 8th, where she apparently was assaulted by two men who knew her address, her home address, stuff like that, and where she was living, and assaulted her. And this wasn't just grabbing her hand or anything, but apparently she grabbed her grabbed her face or something, then slammed her and stuff like that. And it was very very violent apparently. And she came out on social media. She came out on live stream. She, all this mess had happened, and unfortunately, her social media right afterwards was a little bit. The NGT management people tried to cut her off in terms of the social media, but it was a little bit too late, and everything blew up. And now this is what happened. And ultimately, Yamaguchi ended up apologizing to her fans and apologized to the members of NGT and the people there for causing them trouble, and also mentioned that she did not want to. The initial reason why she waited for so long after the December incident to talk about this was because, again, she did not want to cause trouble for her uh, group members. But obviously, a very severe incident. She was very significantly affected, and very unfortunate incident all around. But that's sort of how it is. Very very troubling incident, and obviously, one of the most troubling incidents is obviously it's reported that the reason why the men knew of her address was because it was leaked by one of the members in NGT48. So again, very troubling. Her having to go through this incident, even if it had been completely coincidental, which it obviously wasn't, for the related members who were involved with this, and for the management who tried to cover it up, right? So very, very unfortunate.
All right.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like people are like, yeah, the adult scene is getting better, and like there are like all these things, but it's very like, especially when these incidents come out, it's very hard to be like, you know what I mean? Like she had to apologize for two people coming to her house and like grabbing her like smack dab in the face. Like what the fuck?
I would say at the very least, the sort of fucking silver lining is that there's that petition by
Yeah.
Japanese fans. So
Mhm.
like, it's not even like it's something that blew up in the West and then all of a sudden there is a petition.
Yeah.
Like at least there's that there's a petition saying, yeah, this guy should fucking resign and she shouldn't have to apologize.
Yeah.
Especially
It's
since it doesn't like look, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of evidence that like another member leaked it. But if someone in the group is gonna go so far as to say they're positive that someone leaked it, that this person leaked it, but they're not gonna name them,
mhm.
and then the sort of, attempt to cover it up was, no, I just said like in what time it takes for her to get home,
Yeah,
and they just
exactly.
found her. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, oh yeah,
Also,
it like
Also, I mean, let's even assume that was true. That's still very dangerous because there are literally people like in Japan that like, because you know how it's like of the subways or the rail system and everything else, right? There are people that are like, oh, you're in this region, and I know this because of the time. Like people are live streaming and stuff. They're like, you're in this region, and I can tell because of the time that I heard the train like passing by, right? Stuff like that. It's like you can't. You have to be very careful with this like sensitive data.
well, not only that, but I just feel like that's such a fucking shit response that I'm just like,
Yeah,
yeah, that doesn't add up.
yeah. It's
I don't believe it for a second.
yeah. It's very unfortunate again. Um, Again, hope at least this sort of incident really helps related incidents take a step further in sort of prevention and sort of remediation, and very unfortunate, but hopefully we can make some progress from here. But that's what people news we had for now, and now we finally move on to our first shoutouts and callouts of the year. For everybody that doesn't know, everybody here gets one shoutout and one callout. A shoutout is something that you want to talk praise to the heavens about, give 10 out of 10. It can be any one person, place, or thing. And call out is the exact opposite. You want to insult 0 out of 10, puke all over it, and it can be any person, place, or thing. Let me see this. I guess I'll go first. My shout out is to the gods above, the gotcha gods above, for helping me start out pretty well these past couple of these past couple of gachas is Idolmaster Cinderella Girls Starlight Stage, also known as Dead Stay mobile game. Because last year I had horrible luck. I had terrible fucking luck in these gachas in getting pretty much anything that's was even like remotely worth valuing. But now, like in the recent months, like December, late November, stuff like that, I have gotten pretty consistent luck, especially with like the cards that I specifically like wanted the most, and I'm definitely taking that with me to the fucking bank. I'm hoping that this year will be pretty similar, where I can actually get off scot-free without having to spend fucking millions upon millions upon millions of jewels. So that's a prayer for me. So that's my shout out. As for my call out, my call out is honestly, I mean, in terms of like the idol stuff, I already called it out. But in terms of stuff that we haven't mentioned, I kind of want to call out people that are I don't know how do you say this. I want to. It's both a present call out and like a call out for the future, in a sense, where it's like I want to call like Toast. I don't want to validate anything that Toast says, honestly, but they're going to be
Wow.
more. They're going to be more edgy series that come, especially isekai series that come out in the upcoming years, right? And stuff. There's a lot of stuff, hidden in depths of shosetsu, hidden in the depths of light novel stores that haven't been covered yet. There's like Kaifuku, there's like Healing Mage, that series. There's this Rising of the Shield Hero, stuff like that are like more like revenge oriented, and a lot of these have the woman that betrayed you or something like that, right? And it's like you get revenge, stuff like that. Your initial like mage companion betrayed you, and she was fucking the other guy, and now you have to make it all the way back because blah blah blah, and that's sort of how it runs down, right? And these series are going to get adapted. People are going to become more degenerate. They're going to want this, and anime studios are going to push for this. And I know there's going to be, more and more of a regular discussion on people being like, why is it that it's like, it's always portraying, these women as these like bitches, like they're, like trying to, fuck the other guy and getting all this stuff, and then people who are like, yeah, fucking social justice warriors trying to justify women being bitches, like, and it's gonna go back and forth. And I'm not trying to be a centrist necessarily or anything, but I would like to kind of not have to deal with this like every time that something like this comes out. So fuck
Well,
these
the
guys.
general rule seems to be different is always good.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah. It's we'll just take.
Bar is way too low. Is the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, we'll just take out. We'll just have to see case by case. But I do hope that our discussions become a little bit more on the saner side as things go on. So that's my call out, or preemptive call out rather. Dark. Shoutouts and callouts, please.
So shout out a mobile game as well, because recently I got into Grand Blue, and
Oh my god.
no, I mean I'm pretty pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying the gotcha's fair because it's still bullshit,
That
but
grinding is gonna be something else, though.
yeah, it's something. But I mean, I've been having fun with it. There's a lot of a game there, which is
Mhm.
nice. Like there's a lot of I don't know.
Actual
It's
game.
it's more involved than I was expecting. I quite like it.
Right.
Story's pretty good. Got a lot of voice acting. Yeah. I don't know. I just think all around it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's been a pretty good package. I don't
And
know if I would like feel as good as I did about it if I didn't get lucky and
Mhm.
B joined during New Year's, so where you get a bunch of free rolls. But I think overall it's still a fun game.
Okay, and your call?
See, this is hard. I think my call out, yeah, you know what? Fuck it, I'll use call out is to anything and everything involving JC staff. That includes JC staff itself, along with the people talking about JC staff. Or people talking
I
about
should have called out. Well,
people
no, I
talking
don't.
about series when they should be talking about JC staff, and people drawing conclusions that are pretty.
Are you talking about a certain not so not so
Yeah, that
realistic
not
series?
kosher fucking that non kosher fucking Reddit thread you linked me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. Like all these people, like so what's his name tweets out about like vague tweets about big company, like the problems with them.
Mhm.
And they're like, yes, you see, it's because Index Season 3 doesn't have its original producer that it in the way that it is. And I'm like, well, first of all, Index Season 3 visually isn't even in that bad of a spot. Like it's not
Yeah.
wowing people, but JC staff never wows people.
Yeah.
There's some pretty shaky spots, but it's like, yeah, when you take a screenshot of a guy in the background running and you fucking zoom in on it, like what's it called? CSI Miami style, yeah, he's not gonna look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you blow up an image of a man in motion back, like I don't know, that sort of thing pisses me off because it's like I could name multiple times in any trigger series where that has happened in front of the camera, like 2 inches away from where shit like that has happened. But either way, that part's bad. You have people saying, "Oh, well, World War III is not going to be very good, is it?" It's like
Mm.
World War III arc and Index. I hate to tell you, can never be good.
Yeah.
What?
Like when
It's
Index starts getting really messy, it gets real messy, and it ain't great. So, like that was really cancerous. JC staff in general, like, and then this is not defending JC staff. It's just that saying things like this guy is talking specifically about Index and like Index is a mess, and it's like, well, Index is actually not really a mess. It's just kind of in the same place it was
after season
8
2.
years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's in the same place it was after season 2. Like, this is no
Honestly,
different.
the best thing to do is
Honestly,
just
it's well, I mean, honestly, it's like A, you should have expected this, and B, the major problem is that JC staff is taking on too, like they've gotten too big. They have like fucking 5 shows this season,
Mm.
all which are supposed to be huge. Like it doesn't make any sense what they're.
it's like the thing is, it's like I think at this point it's just like fans need to just I don't know what they need to do because it's like I think they need to. I mean, it's not even like because it's not like the studios are like listening to people's pleas for anime and making the anime necessarily, right? It's like it's more about the money in general. But still, I think the anime stuff for the mainline needs to just stop coming out. Like this, like again, at the end of the day, it's not going to satisfy anybody, right? It's not going to satisfy anybody. And it's not like they have some sort of like Lord of the Rings budget to rely on, right? So they just need to pack it up. I think they just need to pack it up and keep with Railgun, just keep with Accelerator, and just work on more merchandise and related stuff for the main line, but not the anime. I think it's over. Like it's just people need to stop wanting some sort of ideal, glorious, like UFO table 100 FPS, accelerator going into level 6 shift in front of your eyes.
I mean, I hate to tell these people that has never been what they've been like.
Exactly.
Index and Railgun have had horrible CG from the beginning.
Exactly.
And
people
JC staff,
keep
the
having
best thing you could ever say about them is that they were at least fine and consistent.
Yeah.
And now that they've taken on too much, for the shows that they very clearly are putting on the back burner, it's
Mhm.
like it's starting to really show.
Yeah, it's
Like for what's it called? Data Live 3. It's starting
yeah,
to really show.
yeah,
But for Index, I don't see it. Like I've skimmed up to episode like 6 now, and I don't see what people are up in arms about. Like it's the same.
yeah. Again,
Like yeah, it's does it suck that it's not better? Yes.
does it suck that it's not
Was I
2018 compared
expecting
to like
JC
2018?
was I expecting JC staff to wow me?
You
No.
just Violet Evergarden for every index season.
Yeah, it's like wow, like why would you expect? No one has ever been wowed by a JC staff series.
Yeah, that is an eternal truth. But yeah, it's very like the situation all around is very very unfortunate. But I think index fans just need to give it up. They just need to give it up. I think that's the best way to go about
Yeah,
it.
well, I mean, Index fans apparently most of them need to come to terms with the fact that see, here's the
Real
thing.
Gun is a better series. Is that what you're about to say?
Yes, pretty much. That all the spin-offs are better than your fucking main series. Because here's the problem, right? People
Yeah.
fucking I don't know. It's funny to me, especially because I've actually spoken to multiple people on I split between I think different games honestly. I forget what other game it's on, but I've been on Final Fantasy 14 and even like minutes before we started my character's name is Kodo and someone messages me and goes, "Oh, I love your name by the way." I'm like, "Okay." And they're like, "Yeah, it's from Railgun, right? I really like Railgun." I'm like, "This person knows what's up." I'm like, "Yes, I do too." And they're like, "In next season, it's getting a season 3 in the summer." And I'm like, "I know."
Yeah, I got you. I
And
got
there
you.
was someone else I spoke to about the same thing where they were like, "Oh, are you watching Index 3?" I'm like, "Yeah, but honestly, I don't really like where Index goes. I think it gets too cluttered,
Mhm.
especially with the faction, and I
Right.
prefer the spin-offs at this point because they're
Yeah.
more condensed." And they just go, "Yeah, me too."
Like
It's
nobody disputes what's happened at this point. Like seriously.
yeah, it's like it's not that I hate Index, but I don't expect it to be something that's, you know, gonna
Yeah.
be a typical person's anime of the year, anime of the
Yeah.
season,
If it tried to fly
blowing.
too high, and the issue is it just doesn't have the attention and the even the format. Like you think this is gonna be solved in how many 24 episode format? How many 24 episode seasons is this gonna need? Like let's be real here. How many 24
Well,
episode
that's the
seasons?
thing. Yeah, that's the thing too, is that anyone who expected Index 3 to not be down heavily is insane.
Yeah.
Um, like they're an absolute lunatic. Like I'm pretty sure in Railgun 3 that they would have had to have like 2 different people have arcs on level 6 shift. The World War 3 arc, like for the beginning setup. So like I don't know. Overall, you would literally be looking at something that's around at least 50 episodes, if not 60 or 70.
Yeah, and they all have to be good, right, for people to be satisfied. Like you
Yeah.
can't.
And
There
and
can't
I'm
be
not saying
filler,
that
or they
them
can't be
cutting like
filler.
obviously it especially sucks that it's like, well, you're cutting content and it's not like wowing people, but
Yeah,
you know, it's still a 24 episode series, even with it being so heavily truncated that I don't know, it just wouldn't have been possible. And it's just strange to see people saying shit like, man, this looks so, it doesn't even look that good. It's like, it never did.
yeah, it's hard. It's very very
That is
unfortunate.
not why we're here.
Yeah, again, very very unfortunate. Whatever. Sorry we took so long. Near, shout calls, please.
Oh, those are still going on. Look at that.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, it's index. We had to beef
Yeah,
over it.
listen, just be happy that another podcast didn't start.
Be happy
Yeah.
that we didn't have an index roundtable. Although we almost did, I think, a couple of times during this.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
I haven't even watched it.
You should.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
keep going.
But my shout out goes to fuck, I don't know. Everything's been shit.
You don't have to. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a series necessarily. You can you can shout out something. Okay.
Life sucks. Everything
Oh,
sucks.
sorry.
Nothing is good. I don't know. Shoutouts to you know what? Shoutouts to the fact that fuck, what was that game called? 13 Sentinels? Right?
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah,
LR
yeah,
game,
yeah.
right? Yeah, shoutouts
Yeah.
that that's not canceled anymore. Thank God. That's nice. I like that. That's good. That's a good thing. One good thing that's happened so far this year. I think I'm gonna call. You know, yeah, I'm gonna call out another mobile game thing. You know, I think mobile games are starting to dominate my entire life. But
that is the thing that happens. Yes.
yeah, it's a thing that happens. Call outs to so recently in Fate Grand Order, a new banner came out, right? And it's King Hassan, Grand Assassin, Gramps, if you will.
Mhm.
And Demolition D, the man, the myth, legend, who hasn't made a video in like 2 years, decided to stream himself rolling for King Hassan because one of the servants he really wants, he saved up like 450 quartz or something, right?
Okay.
And he streams like all these rolls. He spends 400 quartz, and he doesn't get them.
Oh boy.
And so he's like, you know what? I'll buy some quartz, do one last 10 roll, and see if it gets lucky, right?
Uh-huh.
Still doesn't get him, right? And you know, of course, he's upset as anybody would be. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna drop the game, right? Because you know, it's the one character he wanted,
Right. Exactly.
which is understandable." And of course, his Discord is immediately filled with people like, you know, Fate Grand Order is just like bullshit. You know, so many other games are so much more generous with stuff like Spark, and immediately I'm like,
Yeah, all you have to do is spend $300 to get the
Yeah.
one character you want.
You mean $900?
immediately I'm like,
$900?
yeah,
Like, I'm not even joking. It's $900.
it's $900 to spark from scratch in Grand Blue.
In standard.
Yeah.
In most games. That's,
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's the
That is
standard price.
absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
Like $900 to $1,000
Yeah,
to
yeah.
spark from scratch.
That is-
Darko was exaggerating, but little did he know that exaggeration was only a third of what
I
it
thought
actually
it was.
cost.
I thought it was $300.
Nope, it's 900.
It's,
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So immediately I respond like, you know, sparking is not a generous system in any way. And everyone's like, yeah, but it's better than like nothing that FGO has. And I'm just immediately, I'm like, you know, okay, yes, if we really want to go and compare which predatory system is more quote unquote generous than another highly predatory system, then sure, we can talk back and forth till the cows come home until which gambling game, you know, doesn't mug you harder. But like,
exactly.
The thing is too is that it's only more generous for one character, right? Like you
well,
see
I mean,
people spending
well,
it's
$2,000.
it's quote unquote more generous to get one thing, right? And
What
the
happens
problem,
when you want 5?
yeah, the problem I have with the idea that like sparking is quote unquote more generous is the same issue that I have where Fire Emblem Heroes pity rate is quote unquote more generous.
The reason, literally the reason, like this is not like contestable in any sort of sense. It was in the news. Literally the reason why sparking, stuff like sparking, or like pity rates, but definitely sparking. Why sparking was made was because people fucking were in the afternoon news for essentially having wasted like fucking thousands of dollars to fucking jumping off a cliff, right? Like that was there were incidents that marked the the month before Granblue released its sparking system.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also they're not stupid. Like when you need put in something like that, and you make it such a high price, like even at what I suggested, 300 is still more shit.
It's more to
But
stop from getting in the afternoon
well,
news.
it's not even just it stops that, but it also creates the idea of like if you want 5 characters now,
Mhm.
you can get you can get that one character from Sparking, and that's generous. You know, these people want to say, but it's like, well, what happens when you have someone who wanted 5 and has now sparked 5 times? They've now spent $5,000,
I mean,
Yeah.
whereas
the
maybe with
issue,
Fate, they would have gave up.
yeah, again, the issue I have with the idea of sparking versus nothing, right?
Yeah.
Because Fate has a quote unquote safety net system because of like legal reasons, but it's never really going to get you anything, right? I think I've gone over Fate systems where like if you get so basically the way it works is if you NP5 a 5-star character, which means you already had 5 copies of that character.
Right.
If you get another 5-star character that's the same one, you get one like blank Saint graph. And I think you need 5 of them to cash out one 5-star character. So basically, you need to get 10 dupes of one 5-star character to get one 5-star. And again, like you're really never gonna do that unless you're like a max whale, right?
Right.
Like that's never gonna happen. But that's there for legal reasons, right? It's just like it's something that's got to be there. And the problem I have is that like, people say FGO has no safety net, right? Which for all intents and purposes is true. And the people are like, Granblue has sparking, which is quote unquote more generous. But the issue I have is sparking creates this illusion where like someone can tell themselves, if I just keep rolling
Yeah.
and I keep buying rolls, eventually I'll get something.
The
right?
issue is instead of creating this gradient, it creates this bifurcation where it's like with gradient, you're just like, well, I'll just see how far I can go with my jewels, right? So it's like you have people at different levels of jewels, right? But then with sparking, you have this thing where it's like either you don't do it because you're so, like a relatively rational player, right? Would either not do it, or they'll just top off however much they felt like they wanted to top off to get to the 300. So it's
Yeah.
like either all or nothing system, which also creates its own problems with moderate level whaling, right? So it's
Yeah.
very unfortunate. And obviously, the general generosity is like whatever. It's like
Yeah,
fact-
it's just
it's a
in
fact.
my eyes, sparking is almost like more predatory because it feeds into this like idea that if I just keep going, eventually I'll get something. Whereas with FGO's lack of safety net, like it's in my opinion, it's easier for somebody to look at it and be like, this is gambling. And
Yeah.
when I'm rolling, I am gambling.
Mhm.
And no matter how much I buy,
Mhm.
I'm still gambling. Right? So it's easier for somebody to say, I don't need to buy anything. And that's the way I see it. But I don't know. I just don't like people who are like, yeah, FGO is really generous. Like, no.
Yeah.
There's no generous mobile game. The only quote unquote generosity that exists in any mobile game is there to keep you there.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
When a company gives out like 10-star tickets,
they're
like
not doing it out of
you know,
generosity. Yeah.
they're not doing it just be like because we just love you guys.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
They're giving you that ticket for a free 5-star because they want you to keep
A
playing.
lot of
the
that
game.
is calculated with like big data and stuff like that. Too.
Yeah, and I mean, I said it in demo chat earlier. FGO isn't generous because it's like the biggest fucking mobile game on the market.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
like
can
what
afford to
do.
not
Yeah.
be generous. There's no need for
Yeah.
SGO to be generous to you.
Yeah,
So, of course, they're not going to be.
yeah, and they're so it's very like I don't know. I think we're gonna see. That's why I keep pushing for this. Like, I'm eager to see what'll happen once the Western market, the localization market, but also the Western regulation market, really starts laying its hands on Japanese companies with and their loot boxes really pushing in, especially since once more Japanese companies start working with, let's say, like Chinese companies and stuff like that, right? A lot of Chinese companies will want to kind of start shipping it out, right?
Yeah.
And once that happens, I think the shit will really hit the fan, and this whole like thing of like perceptions versus ideology, like regulation, whatever, in versus addiction versus what's going on with regulation in both the West and the East is all going to come to a head, and I'm going to be pretty interested to see that. But until it does, I think a lot of people in the community are still going to be sort of under delusions about what mobile game companies are up to.
Yeah.
So it's very fortunate.
They love me.
They
gave me personally this free roll.
Kimura P literally came over to your house and just gifted you these free rolls. Like, he opened his hands and like jewels popped out.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
Come
But
on.
yeah. Toast. Shoutouts and callouts, please. Toast is dead.
Just dead.
Yeah. Okay. So with that,
Guess the podcast can't end.
yeah, we're just gonna
Can't
have
stop streaming.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Anyways, while Toast is sleeping with his dog.
I think he is actually dead. The Dororo picture is still up there.
You guys
Yeah.
finally done? It's been 45 minutes.
There he is.
Oh my god! All right. So
I went and watched a movie.
Okay. So what? So could you please tell us your shoutouts and callouts,
My
please?
shout out is Dragon Ball Super Broly and Heaven's Feel 2 Lost Butterfly. One's
Okay.
in a few days. One's gonna be in 1 to 8 months.
Okay. With 8 scenes included. Next, your call.
1 to 2 months, maybe February, March, April, whatever. 1 to 3 months for the Japanese subs, then at least 8 months for the English. So what is that? August, September, October. Hooray!
Okay. So much later down the line in general. But what's your call out?
My call out is this snow. It's cold.
It's cold. Okay.
The
Very
end.
unfortunate. Okay. And with that, we are finally done with the first show of 2019. Again, thank you to everybody here for listening in. If you do like what we do this every other Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation media, anime, manga, light novels, visual novels, web novels, so on and so forth. And we, talk. We usually try to review the stuff in the current season, but obviously we'll do some other stuff as well. You can follow us here at twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast. That's with the number 4. Follow us here for updates. Follow us on social media, on Facebook and on Twitter handle at 4PPAnimeCast. Again, also with the number 4 for latest updates. We also have our YouTube channel where we'll be uploading all these podcasts up so you can see them in all our fine glory. So you'll have that as well. And again, we'll be covering, maybe some of the more intricate series in the next few episodes, so watch out for that. And as always, we'll see you next time.